He just called for Liz Cheney to be executed yesterday. I mean, I get that we're close to election. Everyone's like, oh, nothing can happen. Is he not out on bail? Is that not a... Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Steph, and good morning, everybody. I'm thrilled to be out here on the West Coast. Can't wait to see you all tomorrow evening. And here's the thing. The minute I woke up and I saw that, a bunch of my friends had sent me the email about what he said. The first thing I posted is everybody needs to understand this is an unconditional threat because of the way he worded it. This is different than when he would say, oh, I wonder what would happen if X, Y, and Z. You know, listen, he's already endangered the lives of people like Gretchen Whitmer by his, violence-inducing rhetoric. The Haitian American community, the FEMA workers who were being hunted by Trump's little militiamen down there. This is an unconditional threat. So here's why the law views this different. He said, and I have it in front of me, let's put her, Liz Cheney, with the rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it, when the guns are trained on her face. When he said, let's do this, let us do this, that's a threat. What does that do? It violates the conditions of his pretrial and pre-sentence release. It is also chargeable independently as a new charge, a criminal threat. I fully expect now, and we better see this, a show cause order the minute he loses the election from prosecutors saying, he needs to show cause why he should not be revoked on pretrial release. I think more than ever that is likely to come after the election. It should come right now, Steph. It should come right now.
Does the Secret Service do anything? Merrick Garland, Chris Wray, does anybody do anything? Or do we wait till Liz Cheney gets shot? Like what I get that we're numb to this, but
the paperwork should be filed today by prosecutors in every open case seeking his revocation on release and putting him in pretrial or pre-sentence detention. I would expect in a country that cares one whit about the rule of law and the equal application of the rule of law, I would expect those motions to be filed today.
So, okay. Obviously, in light of the Supreme Court giving him, immunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could, I guess it doesn't even have to be on Fifth Avenue that someone could.
Right.
So Richard Painter, 15 other current and former Republicans signed on to a friend of the court letter to the U.S. Supreme Court asking them to butt out of state election rules. According to them, the Supreme Court would be sidestepping the 10th Amendment if it makes decisions about state laws. I mean, they are just all over the place. States' rights when they want it to be, and then right before, again, unprecedented with Virginia, right? Go ahead and purge the voter rolls a few days before the election, right?
Yeah, the Republicans used to be all about states' rights, and it seems like that is no longer the case. States try to disqualify an insurrectionist, an adjudicated insurrectionist from the presidential ballot, and the Supreme Court says, no, you can't do that, even though the Constitution expressly says you can do that. And then when it comes to a state wanting to purge voters, some of whom should be allowed to vote, somehow that's okay. So, consistency is not the strong suit of this Supreme Court, at least not the radical right-wing 6-justice block of the Supreme Court. But you know what? I still think this blue wave, is going to crash over everything. And I don't think this election will be stopped even by a dirty Supreme Court.
Well, I mean, that was my next question. You also tweeted Mike Johnson confirms he and Trump have a secret plan to help Trump take power. How concerned should we be? You said, so Speaker Johnson confirmed to the New York Times he and Trump do indeed have a secret plan to help Trump take power. Recall in 2020, Trump had 5 secret plans to steal the presidency for which he and his criminal associates are being prosecuted. Here they go again. Talk to us about that and the relative amount of distress I should be in.
I wouldn't be too, well, listen, I think we should all be deeply concerned, but there really were 5 secret plans back in 2020. There was the pressure campaign on state election officials. That was secret plan number 1, and it failed. There was the fake elector plan, secret plan number 2, and it failed. There was the pressure campaign on Mike Pence, right? Secret plan number 3, and it failed. There was the insurrection, where he ordered the attack on the Capitol to expressly stop the certification, stop the steal. Secret plan number, and All of those secret plans were criminal. They failed, and people are indicted for it. And when we see secret plan number 6 that was announced to us, you don't have to wait until the crimes are committed when it's a conspiracy, when you're conspiring in this secret plan to try to thwart the presidential election again. The FBI should be on top of it. So, how about we wake up and we get to work?
Yeah. Well, yet another story, the Stop the Steal movement. Should Trump come up short? He has an army of MAGA activists who have nonetheless been preparing to undermine the results and try to reinstall him in power. The Stop the Steal movement, CNN reporting, has reemerged in force. Its leaders have created a step-by-step guide to undermine the results if he falls short. They're already doing it. Yeah. The plans include challenging results in court, pressuring lawmakers to block election certification, encouraging protests, culminating in January 6th. It's unclear at this time why any of those challenges would work, as you sort of allude to, when they didn't 4 years ago. There are far more security sources and personnel likely to be deployed at the Capitol this time around. One investigator, though, for the January 6th committee said he's worried that even with increased protections in place, the Stop the Steal movement may have some unanticipated tricks up its sleeve. Those looking to overturn the election are way ahead of where they were in 2020. But on the flip side, the pro-democracy defenders are more prepared. How that shakes out is not clear to me. To your point about why everybody needed to be prosecuted for this, right?
Yeah. We are a day late and a dollar short on protecting democracy, and that is why we are in this predicament today. I trust that once we have a former prosecutor in the Oval Office, things will change. Priorities will change because she understands the need to promptly go after folks who are committing crimes to try to end our democracy. Right. So we're about to come into the light. I fully believe that.
Yeah.
But let's not let it happen again. Here's the big difference. This time around, come Election Day and the period between November 5th and January 20th, Joe Biden is in power. He controls the levers of governmental power, of law enforcement power, and of military power. So, go ahead, little militiamen, try your worst. You will be put down. You will be put down appropriately and lawfully. But here's the other thing, Steph. The Supreme Court said Donald Trump gets to exercise his core constitutional powers to try to commit all the crimes he wants to end democracy. Joe Biden gets to exercise all of his core constitutional powers to do what? Faithfully execute the laws of our nation and protect democracy against Donald Trump. So let's use those powers that were given by the Supreme Court to protect rather than try to end democracy the way Donald Trump did. I like our odds.
Yeah. No, I hear you. You wrote a great piece, as usual. Trump's promise to fire Jack Smith is a final warning. He said it's hard to hear this without recalling how another Republican president, Richard Nixon, tried this same maneuver as a last-ditch attempt to avoid having to comply with a special prosecutor's subpoena for what turned out to be incriminating audio tapes. Nixon's directive to fire then-special prosecutor Archibald Cox led to the Saturday Night Massacre when Nixon's attorney general and deputy attorney general resigned rather than carry out Nixon's order. So now you're talking about, it's recently been reported that Trump's transition team has none other than Judge Aileen Cannon on the short list to be attorney general. So, and then essentially she's already fired Jack Smith, is your point, right?
Yeah, I would call this evil genius, but I will never use the word genius in connection with mentioning anything about Donald Trump. It is evil, though, because she has basically already fired Jack Smith by saying, special counsel is not a thing, even though every judge who has ever decided the issue said actually special counsel is a thing, is lawful, is constitutional. Even the Supreme Court said that in 1974 in substance.
Kind of weird. They had no problems about Hunter Biden's special counsel. Okay, go ahead.
Go figure. Yeah, inconsistency, again, not their strong suit. But, the good news is, Steph, it's never going to come to that. Yeah. Trump is going to lose, and Aileen Cannon will never be our attorney general. And as I say, we're about to come in to the light. I like our odds, and I like the way the early voting is playing out, at least according to the reporting. Women going to the polls in record numbers. How about the dang men go to the polls in record numbers to support the women? Their wives and their daughters and their nieces. Let's do it. Come on, let's all get out there.
And by the way, you tweeted, majority of Americans believe Trump's criminal cases should proceed to trial regardless of election's result because #
Justice matters?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, How'd you guess? Yes. But, it's just this, okay, so this is, again, not a shock. Elon Musk did not attend a court hearing involving his $1 million daily giveaway to registered voters. He's in risk of being held in contempt of court. Philadelphia's top prosecutor accused him of conducting an illegal lottery. And I love this. Musk, the world's richest person, could face a fine. I mean, we've just created this Trump precedent that if you're rich, there no rules apply to you. You don't have to show up at court. And so, ouch, a fine's going to hurt him, right?
Yeah, and I sure wish that we didn't leave it to a district attorney for Philadelphia to try to take on Musk for his misconduct, his election interference. It would be nice if the federal Department of Justice got after him and didn't just write him a letter and shake their finger. Here's the thing. If the attorney general believed that he was doing something wrong enough to warrant a letter and a good finger wag, well, then it looks like the Department of Justice ought to take the next step and actually go after this mope and hold him accountable for what he's doing. Don't leave it to a district attorney for the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah. Yep, agreed. And speaking of, you said Judge Aileen Cannon just can't quit Trump, refuses to step up Trump-related case of Ryan Routh. I mean, this is getting to be so. This other case, Trump just filed a bizarre $10 billion lawsuit against CBS and took care to file it with a controversial far-right judge that he appointed. It argues that the interview with Harris was something, editing, deceitful, something. Of course, CBS called the lawsuit completely without merit. It's like,
yeah, and can I echo the words of the federal judge who went after Ron DeSantis for his attempts to violate free speech rights down in Florida to try to stop women from voting for Amendment 4, which would protect in the Florida Constitution reproductive health rights. That federal judge said to Ron DeSantis and his flunkies in the Florida government, "It's the First Amendment, stupid." That's a quote from the federal judge. That is what I would say to Donald Trump in connection with this harebrained suit against CBS. It's the First Amendment, stupid.
Since Liz Cheney's back in the news, I'd saved this story for you because I just thought this whole, and the Mike Johnson secret plot, yada, yada. Mike Johnson recently said he and Cheney have agreed to disagree over whether Trump is a threat to democracy. And Liz Cheney said, no. I mean, there's no agreeing to disagree on the overthrow of the United States government and insurrection. And she recently said, I do not have faith Mike Johnson will fulfill his constitutional obligation. Period, right?
Yeah, we don't agree to disagree that gravity is a thing, right? And we don't agree to disagree on whether Trump, Johnson, and all of these Republican flunkies are a threat to not just the health of our democracy, but the viability of our democracy. That is where we are. But I'm going to keep saying it. I like our odds. We're about to come into the light. I fully believe that. And let them do their nefarious worst. What I hope is that there are no pockets of violence that erupt, even though you notice Trump has taken to wearing the Proud Boys colors recently.
Yes.
Oh, there's a subtle message about what he is inspiring the minute he loses the election. Again, come on, folks. Let's get this mope into pretrial detention where he belongs. Come on, sport.
Thank you.
Time.
Yeah, not an accident he did the rally where Hitler did. Not an accident he launched his campaign at Waco. Not an accident he did his rally where the Tulsa race massacre was. I mean,
these aren't dog whistles; they're referee whistles.
Exactly. Yeah. Since you're in our hometown of L.A., real quick, I got to get your take on the Menendez brothers. So Eric and Lyle said the what do you call lawyers for them? Wednesday said they have 3 routes to freedom. Mark Garagos, who I used to hang out with all the time in the OJ days.
I remember
back
that.
in the day.
Yeah.
We used to be CNN buddies. He said, so they're going to ask for their murder convictions to be changed to manslaughter. What do you think is going to happen? And our district attorney, I guess, has said he would. Yeah. He is. What? So what is your take on this whole?
Yeah. So here's my concern. Wrongful convictions are a sin that we need to eradicate. But I do fear that defendants with wealth, power, influence, and connections manage to win some relief in their cases to which they may not be entitled. I'm not immersed in the facts of the Menendez brothers case, but, I don't want to see folks win relief in their cases that is not warranted by the facts, by the evidence, but just happens to be available to them because they are products of privilege.
Yeah.
Because I think that does a disservice to people who have been wrongfully convicted and who need to be actually exonerated because the system failed them.
If it were up to Donald Trump, the Central Park Five would have been executed. So, you know.
Right. And also Gascon is up for re-election, and he's about 30 points behind.
Yeah.
So he may have been doing this for some publicity.
I know.
Can I say, I hope people will get out in the 41st Congressional District in Florida down in Palm Springs for Will Rollins over Ken Calvert. I just interviewed Will, and I think he is a big part about why we're going to flip the House.
Yes. A final point, both Lyle and Eric and Menendez are married and I am not. However, that might change tomorrow night. Maybe she's there. Maybe Glenn Kirshner's beautiful wife is coming. Doesn't she have a gay friend, sister, someone that looks just like her?
Oh, God.
Can't wait to see you.
Can't wait to see you. Thank you for ignoring that, Glenn.
Yes, thank you very much.
Beautiful picture of you and your beautiful wife. We love you, Glenn. We'll see you tomorrow night at LA's
Steph.
Sexy Liberals.
See you tomorrow.
All right, 51. I remember you called into the radio show and read Trump tweets as the Joker.
Yes.
But
well, after doing
at
the
least the Joker had some redeeming qualities.
Well, the thing is, after doing it for so long, I recognize really good demented dialogue. And there was a tweet that he did, and someone commented, "This sounds like something the Joker would say while threatening to poison Gotham City's water supply." And I thought, you know what, I should do that. Because, you know, he can't just say Merry Christmas. He has to say, Merry Christmas, even to the losers and communists and Democrat left-wing assholes. You know, why can't, just say Merry Christmas and stop? We'd be happy with that. But I have a message, I say the force is strong with the Democratic Party. And my message to MAGA is, go force yourself, all right? I like that because it sounds dirty and it's not, and I don't work blue. Hey.
Of course not. If you could devise a campaign that is meant to alienate more segments of the population, Chairman, I mean, I was saying, what is J.D. Vance's door-knocking operation? Is he just going to call every woman in America a whore? Hi, you're a C word and your mother's a whore. Thank you. I'm J.D. Vance. Mark, I know you're brave to speak out politically in Hollywood. I know you wish you could have Scott Baio's career, but
or Kevin Sorbo's.
But I mean, talk a little bit about why you've decided, because they always say actors don't want to be political.
Right. Well, the honest truth is that I've always voted. I've always followed politics very closely, but I've never publicly expressed how I felt and how I was going to vote. Even in 2016 with Hillary. But this time, I felt like I have a responsibility. I mean, that it's far more important, because I've had people say, you could hurt your career. I don't care. I mean, this is more important. Who cares if I get a guest spot on The Mandalorian versus a mentally ill person back in the Oval Office? There's no contest. So, I mean, I basically, I don't care. I never block people on Twitter because I don't want to give them the satisfaction of the screenshot that said Mark Hamill blocked you. So I've never blocked anyone. But I was muting people like crazy. And then I looked up at the clock and I said, Mark, you've been muting people for 20 minutes. Now I don't even mute people. I start to scan because obviously there's an equal and opposite reaction from the MAGA crowd. Ooh, do they hate me? Yeah, yay. Lucky for me, I don't care.
And you know why they hate you? Because you're going to help us blow up the Death Star in November.
Yes. Well, I mean, I always urge people, don't turn to the orange side.
This isn't unprecedented in the United States, but it's super fucked up.
That's a great soundbite right there.
And so hopefully we can, we'll see. We got 2 weeks to see, and even then, the fight is not over. I've said this a few times on Twitter. Trumpism is going to take a long time to defeat. I believe it will be defeated because it is a cult of personality, and they always run out of gas at some point. I'm hoping that it's this November 5th. But we'll see.
Yeah, they do usually flame out because they're so they constrict, right? So they don't expand, they don't grow their base. This is a decidedly intentional choice that they've made. When people like Michael Steele and even Prince Rebus, whatever you say his name, they were all trying. Prince Rebus, whatever. He was not a prince. He's not a prince.
Riboflavin.
Ribbit. No, they were trying to expand the base, and the powers that be were like, no, we want to lean in on this cult of personality thing, and that's where they're at now. And they usually do flame out. The difference is, and I'm a little bit obsessed with reading, now books by Timothy Snyder and stuff about how democracies die and, tyranny and of the minority, et cetera. We're like, oh, the one fundamental problem here is that, the Republican Party has all these levers of power and these ways to cheat, where they found all the cracks and the fissures and the little openings in the democracy that we have that is so fragile to begin with, and no one really seemed to ever want to occupy those spaces or exploit them as much as they do. But they have found it's almost their singular mission, right? Because they know they can't win legitimately because the society has evolved to a point where all societies do, that their hold on power that was based on their birthright, the way they see it.
What this film does, which no other film to date has done, it weaves through all of these narratives. What the Trump lawyers were doing as part of their Kraken strategy. There was the Stop the Steal movement, the Proud Boys, and then the Oath Keepers, and the 3%ers, and all these militia groups, and how it organically moved and culminated in what was January 6th. This is that story.
I really want to do everything I can to make noise about your work, because I think it's first of all, just such a terrifically made film, but it's so urgent, it's so relevant, it's so important, and it's honestly the scariest thing I've seen this year. And I talk about this stuff every day for a living, and I thought I knew it all. Before we even get into it, I'd like the audience to know what you personally went through to make this film. What were your injuries and the effects on your health from that day? If you don't mind beginning with this.
I'm sure. I mean, I got kind of pinged with some bean bags. That wasn't great. That kind of stings. And we got hit with the pepper balls, and we got gassed and maced and pepper sprayed. And I kind of had a little incident where someone tried to rip the camera out of my hand and broke the camera. And then I was confronting the guy, and the guy's coming back at me. Suddenly the crowd, there were still people in this crowd that were very much on the side of, they were protesting, they were bearing witness, but they weren't, actively involved in, storming the Capitol. And they said, listen, leave that guy alone. We need the press to be here. This is history. So not everyone that was on the steps at that point were part of the mob. Some people were purely observing.
There were many bystanders. It's
there
true.
Were.
Your film begins with Fox News calling Arizona for Biden. on election night, and thereby instigating the rally outside the Maricopa County Tabulation Center. Why did you want the film to begin there? And what was your experience in Maricopa? Why did you want to bring a crew there?
So I wanted to start in Maricopa County because Maricopa County is where Stop the Steal first deployed. And Stop the Steal is not a spontaneous political movement. This had been developed since 2016 by Roger Stone. In 2016, Stop the Steal was used to influence the primary between Ted Cruz and former President Trump. And then he won that, and then he subsequently beat Hillary, and you don't protest elections you've won, so they kind of shelved it. And Stop the Steal is exceptional political messaging. It's pithy, it's a grievance, it's a call to action. I mean, it's almost, it's exceptional political messaging. It's so short. It's got alliteration to it. It's
there's so much subtext. It's like whatever you've been ripped off, you've been ripped off too.
Yeah, and we can fix it by stopping it.
Yeah.
So they shelved it and they brought it out. And they brought it out. You could see the groundwork being laid in the summer. You saw it with the mail-in ballots and the ballot boxes, and you saw it with, even saw in the summer Steve Bannon on the circus says, we're going to challenge the results of the Electoral College. And he said it, he misspoke and said it was January 20th, but he really meant it was January 6th. But you saw it at that point. Ali Alexander from the summer onwards is talking about the Electoral College. So they had their other methods, and there's a variety of different schemes that were used in order to deny the election results. But they were planning all along to focus on January 6th. And after the meeting with between General Michael Flynn, Sidney Powell, the lawyer, and Patrick Byrne, the former Overstock CEO, on December the 18th in the White House, they proposed him seizing the voting machines with an executive order that he'd signed a few years earlier. That didn't really go anywhere for the president. So an hour later, he texts or tweets, "It will be wild."
That's right. It'll be wild.
And from that point on, everything is focused on January 6th.
What this film does, which no other film to date has done, it weaves through all of these narratives. What the Trump lawyers were doing as part of their Kraken strategy. There was the Stop the Steal movement, the Proud Boys, and then the Oath Keepers, and the 3%ers, and all these militia groups, and how it organically moved and culminated in what was January 6th. This is that story.
Hi, I'm incredibly popular and charismatic Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. And hell yeah, I'm mad! The woke mob wants to lie about my really useful new law. They call it Don't Say Gay. Well, I'm here to say, don't say gay. Have you read it? Have you actually read my law? Have you read it? Because I'm going to be president. Yeah, I am. I'm so going to be president, and none of you can stop me. Okay? The only thing this very effective law does is ban any discussions of the gays and the transgenderisms with kids grades kindergarten through 3. And that's it. Of course you can still say gay. It's preposterous. You can say gay. It just allows any patriot to sue the living crap out of your school district if they don't like it. It's not censorship, folks, if they're censoring themselves. And I'm going to be president. I'm the smart Trump. Some of you are wondering, does this law keep grades 4 through 12 teachers from saying gay? That depends on what your definition of "or" is. Classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. What state standards are those? I don't know! Fuck around and find out! If you don't like my law, you're a groomer! And a pedophile, and a pedo-groomer. And that's what small government's all about. Just make me president already. I am not supposed to be a governor. Parents, you don't want your kids learning about gay sex at schools, do you? Learning about the kink and fetish communities? You want some woke public school teacher makes $40K a year teaching your kids about dom-sub relationships or safe words or hard limits? Parents, do you want your little child at school to be learning about edging and lube And glory holes? I don't think you do. And what about cock and ball torture? What if little Jimmy has a book report on older married men who are secretly into BDSM lifestyles? You want him talking to your school librarian about cock and ball torture? You have any books that can help me? Oh, I have one right here. Is that what you want? You don't want that. That's why I did this for you. Now, any nutjob can sue any school, anytime, for any reason. And who picks up the tab? You, the Florida taxpayer. This law doesn't hurt any children. It only hurts you. And if anyone asks, you tell them you fell. Listen, y'all don't want your kids being taught about sex in the public schools. That's a liberal plot. Parents should teach their children about sex, or don't teach them anything about sex. Let them grow up and bury that confusion, regardless of what acting out it leads to later in adult life. I turned out fine, and I never learned a thing about sex from my mother. Look, I don't have time for any of this, okay? I've got math textbooks to ban. I've got majority black voting districts to destroy. I got 77,000 Disney employees who vote in this piece of crap state that I have to piss off. So don't believe the lies of the liberal woke mob. You can still say gay. Go ahead. Say it. I'm not going to stop you. Say gay. Say gay sex. You can say it. Say hot, sweaty, smelly, musky, dominating, top, bottom, switch, reversible, sissy, femboy, uncut, power top, raw, bareback, action. Let me hear you say it. You want to say it. Let me hear you say it. Say man-to-man action. Just say it. Just let me be president already. Can't you see? I'm already biologically a president. Trapped in a governor's body. This isn't who I really am. I'm Ron DeSantis. And just let me transition the president.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. You know what? They have to staple me down in this house. I'm so excited. I'm just floating all over the place.
I'm gonna have a little rope around her ankle so she don't fly away.
I know. My husband keeps on saying I have to clean all this glitter off the ceilings.
It is the anti-Madison Square Garden event with floating piles of beautiful, sexy liberals. That's what it's going to be. We're very excited. And
that's right. We're gonna keep each other sane, make each other laugh, and empower ourselves for the landslide victory we are about to have.
I believe that too, and yet I also feel like I'm stroking out. How about you?
My eyes no longer close.
I noticed that you haven't blinked since like 4 tour dates ago.
No, I no longer blink. It takes too much time.
I thought it was the heat in Phoenix, but you've been pretty much like this every time I've seen you now.
Yeah, the heat sucks the moisture right off your eyeballs.
She had that same look when I ordered broccoli at the Kansas City barbecue restaurant. She was like,
well,
who wouldn't look like that?
I'm on a lot of medication this morning to help me be more calm.
You know what? It wasn't until like this week that I recognized that we have been on the road this year, everybody.
Yeah, we have.
We did
I'm
it.
exhausted. Yeah.
I was exhausted this week too. It hit me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we all are. We're exhausted by 10 years of him. And Frangela, I literally, even for me that marinates in this stuff, I thought it was fake news that Donald Trump said Liz Cheney should be shot in the face by a firing squad. I was like, no, he didn't. I mean,
I don't know how he does it. Like, when are we going to get NASA or somebody on studying this man? Because in my family, I'm known as the person. I'm like the crazy whisperer. Francis will tell you, I know crazy people.
She knows them. Backwards and forwards.
I can tell you what's going on in a crazy person's head, but he is constantly surprising me. You literally came up with your staff has been out here all week talking about Kamala needs to turn down the rhetoric and stop it, and then you wake up yesterday and go, you know what? What if there were 12 barrels facing Liz Cheney's face? I'm like,
what? You thought the October surprise was this mainstream, Madison Square Garden hate fest. And then this morning, breaking news, Daily Beast has uncovered over 100 hours of recordings of Jeffrey Epstein talking about his relationship with Trump, inside details he knew about the Trump White House, yada, yada. And then you feel like, I think we already know that. It was all over Jeffrey Epstein's call logs, his flight logs. And it's like, does nothing matter? I mean,
no.
It's just... Go ahead.
This is the thing. Nothing matters. It's a cult. He is just right. They don't. Everybody I've seen ever confront somebody and get to the point where the person admits Donald Trump has done these things and that they're horrible and they don't like them. They then say, "And I don't care."
Yeah.
They do not care. They have tied this to their identity.
Yeah.
He has allowed people to love the parts of themselves that are hateful. The parts of themselves that they had to hide because they knew they were supposed to be ashamed. But they don't have to hide it now.
It sounded like a bad word. It was ashamed.
Yes, I know. Yes.
Ashamed.
I wasn't anywhere near that.
Okay, we're all on tenterhooks.
Yeah, no.
Chris is like a poodle on linoleum at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. 10 trazodone will knock that right out of you.
I need to get some.
I got some dog medicine.
Let me make a call
I think
right
I
now.
have some trazodone.
You won't ever sleep, but who needs it?
I mean, the fact that they're obviously doing this whole stop the steal, move thing all over again. Tristan Snell said, D.C. ellipse rallies by the numbers. Trump on January 6th, 53,000 people, 140 officers injured at the Capitol, 5 officers dead, 2.8 million in damage, 1 constitutional proceeding disrupted. Kamala on October 29th, 75,000 people, 0 injured, 0 dead, 0 damage, 0 proceedings disrupted. I mean, it was the perfect closing argument, I thought, her speech at the ellipse. And it really does come down to, does love Trump hate? Do you vote for Madison Square Garden and that hate fest, or do you vote for this?
Yeah. And I need people to stop acting like it's okay to vote for the hate fest. I need us all to not be okay with that.
Yeah.
Well, also, can we just also acknowledge that the last time that a group of people, when the neo-Nazis met, it was about keeping Jewish people. There were too many Jewish immigrants in this country. And they just did the very same meetup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And had the nerve at that meeting to call a Jewish person a not good Jewish person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're offended when he's blaming the Jews already for losing.
Right.
And they're like, God, why do you say he's like Hitler?
Yeah, that's what I'm
because
saying.
he quotes him. Like I'm so sick of them talking about and listening to Trump alone say, what Biden said. Somehow what Biden said is something we need to focus on because that's wrong and hateful. And then he turns around, says the exact same things, but we have to get a sense of humor about that.
Yeah.
It's the hypocrisy. They're not even trying.
Did you see the
to
Fox?
make sense?
Did you see the Fox headline? Biden playfully bites baby during White House trick or treat event. I'm like, oh, here come all the Democrats eat babies. People are now, and they were dressed like a candy corn or something, and they were giggling, and the mom was giggling, but I'm like,
He eats babies, Stephanie. Don't try to protect the man.
Really?
In pizza parlor
Clearly.
basements.
Yeah.
but the mainstream media has just failed us again. You're absolutely right. I just this whole Joe Biden misspoke, and first of all, I said they are garbage. So I wouldn't even say he misspoke, but it's like he clearly was. Yeah, he's not the candidate. A and B. He obviously was talking about the people making these racist comments and the people, supporting that. We
go to attack people who are around the vice president, but not the candidate himself, Trump. I mean,
yeah. Who's called? How many people? How many different names? Are you kidding me?
all of the same names and acting like what went on in that Madison Square lynch mob rally, acting like somehow he wasn't a part of that. He started his campaign with Mexicans are rapists. He started his campaign with that. He threw paper towels at Puerto Rico. He's the one. I mean, this is everything at that rally was in a teleprompter and on brand.
Yeah. And the only thing they cut was him calling Kamala Harris the C word, which they've done in private, God knows how many times. But that was all calculated about the women's vote. But but that means it was okay to say black people carve watermelons and Puerto Ricans are garbage and Kamala Harris is a whore. All that was fine with them.
Her pimp handlers?
Her pimp handlers.
Really?
Watermelons and black people in 2024? Really?
There's just no, I look at that and I'm like, I don't want to hear from a single person, especially not no brown people, no women of any color, no black people, that there's a reason to vote for this man.
Yeah.
Because there isn't. And if you are that much of a biscuit maker, if you are that desperate to go into the Biscuit Hall of Fame, congratulations.
Sorry, I'm paging through trying to find my Byron Donalds story while you're talking.
Oh, boy.
Go ahead.
Oh, boy.
No. Sorry. That's my
Somebody,
fault.
y'all, hide the molasses.
Oh, here it is. CNN anchor John Berman asked Byron Donalds what he thought of the ex-president's comments about protecting women, whether the women like it or not. Super rapey. How rapey on a scale of rapiness?
And
Donald said, John, you need to stop. Berman tried again. I'm just reading the part of Byron Donalds.
Right.
John, you need to stop. Okay, Berman. So you're telling me there's no concern from Nikki Haley or clearly Trump said from people close to him his campaign about the type of language he's using? John, listen. I love the selective editing this morning.
What?
No.
They will defend anything. Who was it, the Republican that tried to defend him saying shoot Liz Cheney comments? Oh, he was just disagreeing about her foreign policy. Oh, my God.
Oh, is that how we do it?
We are not Boo Boo the Fool.
Right.
we're not.
Is fat meat...
It is greasy.
It is greasy.
It is greasy.
The number
if
of
you throw
times
rice,
one might wax a pony?
you're not going to
You
do it twice.
can't do it twice. You can do it once, but not twice.
But it's not going to be pleasant. I wouldn't suggest it.
The crick's
I'm
got
telling
if
you,
the crick's
fact
got a
that they
holla.
had- The crick's got a holla. How I got a crick. I'm not gonna waste it on pancake or risk it on a biscuit.
No, you will not risk it on a biscuit.
That's how this works. If you throw rice,
I'm gonna catch it and cook it.
thank you. I don't know why.
As a lake-
Kamala, you can borrow all of these. If
A
you
lake
need
is
to.
just a lazy waterfall? Is that?
That's exactly what a lake
Okay.
is. A lazy waterfall. Don't ever forget.
That's
it.
kind of
That's what
profound.
Mama used to
That's
say.
really
It's true.
profound.
It's true.
Yeah.
A lake is a lazy waterfall. I think Buddha said it.
Did you see
For
the
sure.
Trumper in the Trumper hat? I mentioned this story earlier. First of all, in many, many states, you can't wear political stuff into the polling booth. So there's been several of these stories now with Trumpers where the election worker has nicely said, "Sir or ma'am, you can't wear that in here." So this guy in South Carolina, here's the entire transcript. Oh, by the way, did I mention they're black ladies?
Of course, they're all black ladies. I've seen this video.
And he's a big,
what he
whatever,
looks like
Navy,
Trust me.
Meal Team 6, whatever. Okay, Vanilla ISIS guy with poll worker. You're not going to be able to, Trump fan. You bitch. Oh,
wow. It's bad when you see it.
That's what camera person. Oh, wow.
Wow. That's all she's...
Poll worker.
Wow.
Sir, listen, don't cuss at me, Trump fan. This is my... Oh, sorry. Mother... right here. Poll worker, inaudible. Trump fan. All right, then shut the hell up and let me vote. Poll worker. We ain't got nothing else to say. We cannot sue you. We're going to move on. Trump fan throws hat. There it is, right there. Poll worker. No. Trump fan grabs poll worker's hands. Poll worker, don't do that. Camera person, my God. Wow. Trump fan advances. Poll workers restrain Trump fan and throw him out. Okay, so this is what's going to happen to all y'all. This is what I kept telling people. Don't be afraid, intimidated by these. This is what they hope
They won't.
for. Yeah.
They won't.
Yeah.
We never have been. They've had hundreds of years to intimidate us, and they have never done it successfully. But we all need to stand up for each other, and we need to have other people of good conscience so that these people aren't out there on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say, that really quickly, that here we are, black people again, protecting the vote of a thing that we were denied.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great point.
Yeah. And started with, sir, sorry, but you can't. Just politely. And okay.
Yeah. It's like, sir, this is a Wendy's.
Sir, this is a Wendy's drive-thru.
We don't have pizza.
22 minutes after the hour.
Oh, hi. Come. Walk with me. I kind of want to talk about the least of my people. You know, every year around this time, I always got to try real hard to not smack upside the head all these hypocrites, snakes, and vipers who call undocumented U.S. workers illegals. I don't like getting angry, but this shit makes me want to flip a table. Illegals is a racist, dehumanizing, otherizing term. It's designed to make other people appear less than human, so you won't feel bad when you treat them inhumanely. It's a really shitty noun. Ask yourself this: when's the last time Fox News called any other kind of lawbreaker an illegal? If you do 56 in a 55 zone, aren't you an illegal too? Huh? Come on. Now, you wouldn't know it from watching Tucker, but the majority of undocumented immigrants in this country are people who overstayed their visas. However, every night on Fox, he who tucks in his brood of vipers say illegals, and they're always referring to brown people crossing a border. Here's a dirty secret. Politicians could end undocumented immigration tomorrow if they wanted by locking up the white people who do all the hiring. This is supply and demand economics, my friends. There's a gigantic help wanted sign at our southern border, and there's no wall you can ever build that'll be big enough to hide it. And politicians of both parties are in no rush to take down the help wanted sign. Rich people pay Fox people to make working people blame poor people. Now here's 10 facts about illegal people. Number 1. Undocumented immigrants commit crimes at a much lower rate than U.S.-born citizens. Why? Fear of deportation. So imagine if we could do that to homegrown criminals. Number 2. Undocumented immigrants pay state, local, and sales tax over $400 billion in 2017 alone. Those guys standing outside Home Depot looking for day labor work, they're not the ones who outsource your job to China. By the way, racist idiots, there are no national politicians currently calling for open borders or amnesty. Anyone who tells you there are is lying, or as I like to call it, bearing false witness. You know who did call for that? Ronald Reagan. That's right, the star of all your right-wing porn fantasies. St. Ronnie gave amnesty to millions of undocumented people and claimed that open borders allows them to just go home when they're done working here. But don't feel bad, you racist douchebags. Reagan still supported apartheid. You ever notice whenever they raid one of these meatpacking plants down south and they arrest several hundred illegal workers, they're a lot slower to arrest the guys in the back room who did the hiring, who are counting all the cash. And that is all the proof you need to know that the illegal immigration scare is regressive gaslighting bullshit. Donald Trump hires undocumented labor. Going back to the 80s, it was Polish workers who built Trump Tower, but they never got called illegals because they're white. Even as president, Trump continued to employ undocumented workers. He's now done it in 2 different centuries, all to avoid paying American workers a living wage. You are being suckered by millionaire at birth hypocrites. Does it physically hurt to be this freaking gullible? Oh, let's talk about the wall. You morons understand that they were never actually going to build a physical medieval wall for thousands of miles stretching across deserts and rivers and forests and private and commercial properties and seizing land from American citizens using eminent domain law, right? You understand that was a scam? It wasn't going to get finished. Mexico was never going to pay for it. And even if they had, twits, ladders and shovels are things. They looted the military for a scam. Steve Bannon was ripping people off and Trump pardoned him for it, and they are both now wagging their tiny junk at you. And that's not a pretty sight. The majority of American voters rejected Donald Trump's immigration agenda in 2016. The majority rejected it again in 2020, but he still has a chance to be the first man to lose the popular vote 3 times. I alone can do it. What a dick. So remember, MAGA dudes, one of these days, you're going to stand before St. Peter. And on that day, you will discover what extreme vetting really fucking means. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and forgive me, I should have said at the top of the video, I'm only dressed in the tunic because it's laundry day, and I had nothing else to wear. Oh, and I'm only wearing the fake beard to hide my rosacea, so that's... Oh, you thought I was trying to look like him? Dude, I look nothing like him. I'm white.
Kevin in D.C. wants to celebrate Sexy Liberal Weekend with Frangela. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay? I was told the audio was kind of bad. Is it okay?
Yep.
It's fine.
A few seconds. Go ahead.
Great. So, I used to wonder how could people vote for this piece of crap, and wonder why you vote against your self-interest and so on and so forth. But it's been told to me it's because this is the last vestige of people who want to keep the old system. It somehow works for them to have white supremacy on top. So that's why they vote for this crazy stuff, and why this guy can say the vile things he does and make the threats he do, and insane people still want to vote for it.
Yep. Yeah, well, guess what? We're not going back.
That's right.
Have you heard that saying?
I've heard it.
We're not going back.
That's good.
Oh, thank you. Fridays with Frangela on the Stephanie Miller Show.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn in the past few hours.
Politicians under attack for opposing Venezuela's president. Dozens of his supporters breached the grounds of the National Assembly on Wednesday.
The peaceful transfer of power, the cornerstone of American democracy, seemed a highly abstract concept today, as Trump supporters clashed with police as they tried, and succeeded, to storm the Congress, where America's elected leaders had gathered to certify the election victory of Joe Biden.
Lawmakers and journalists tried to get to safety inside the building, but some of the attackers also got in before the door could be closed.
They were literally banging on the doors of Congress. And then some Trump supporters managed to get inside. They were armed and wandering the Capitol building.
Unleashing chaos. And made their way inside the chamber, where they chased and beat lawmakers and journalists at the end of a special session marking the country's Independence Day. At least 5 opposition deputies were injured, some bleeding from the head, stumbling around the assembly corridors.
These pictures appear to show a woman protester being shot inside the Capitol building. A stretcher was set in. She was later given CPR.
One of them, Americo de Gracia, had to be taken on a stretcher to an ambulance suffering from convulsions.
Once again, paramilitary groups with ties to the government broke into the Legislative Palace. 4 lawmakers were injured with cut heads, broken bones. 2 employees of the Parliament television network suffered head injuries. Firearms were brought in by civilians under the complacent watch of security services.
A protester breached the inner sanctum of the chamber. The vice president had to be removed to safety by his Secret Service detail. And then the joint session was adjourned. Earlier, the Republican Senate leader, for so long a loyal lieutenant of the president, turned on him with this withering assessment.
This election were overturned by mere allegations from the losing side, our democracy would enter a death spiral.
President Nicolás Maduro, who was overseeing the traditional Independence military parade, condemned the violence and called for an investigation, but also planted doubts about who might be behind the attack.
I have been informed that during this important, brilliant, beautiful civil military event celebrating total independence, there have been some strange occurrences. They're always strange when the opposition is involved.
In a rally outside the White House, Donald Trump encouraged his loyal base to fight to overturn the result of this bitterly contested election.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them. Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
Yes, the injuries hurt us, but not as much as the pain we feel each time we see our country falling apart when they kill our youth. We will continue forward, don't have the slightest doubt.
Of his supporters needing little encouragement to join the fight.
We're here to support, if violence happens, like it happens, but we're not going to start it. We're just here to defend ourselves.
With blood.
Yeah.
Sorry, say that again. I'm a Mexican immigrant. I support Trump. Freedom is paid for with blood, and tyranny always masquerades itself as safety and security, and that's what we're fighting against right now.
And I'm sure I'll be attacked for saying that. Maybe he's not gay, but he certainly seems gay.
Right. And you immediately say, where's your evidence?
Oh, I don't have any evidence. I'm just saying the guy looks super, super gay to me.
Well,
that would be Tucker Carlson, who, the first time I saw him on TV, I said to you, Chris, he seems super, super gay.
Right.
And I'm gay, so I don't mean that as a pejorative.
Right.
But, welcome to this election cycle.
Tucker likes butt stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Are there any people who raised these people? Because I can't even blame this on a wild pack of wolves.
You know what you can blame it on? He said recently he was physically attacked and mauled by a demon in the middle of the night.
He has claw marks.
Said
He has claw marks.
Yeah, he said I got attacked while I was asleep with my wife and 4 dogs in the bed and mauled, physically mauled.
Who
That's
said
those
this?
dogs trying to kill you.
Tucker Carlson.
Yes, that's right.
Tucker Carlson?
His dogs know he's in
Yeah.
hole.
You know,
Yeah.
You know
he
what?
was mauled by his dogs.
Probably.
Yeah.
some white men never get over the trauma of being fired. And it spirals them into a deeper crazy than the one that got them fired.
They just don't know what to do with this campaign. Here's Tim Walz, football coach, veteran, hunter. I'm just like, okay, this Fox News' latest attempt, they ran the headline, Tim Walz allegedly told high school football players struggling with crime and alcohol to keep playing. In an interview with the former student, the Walz apparently encouraged him to continue playing. He thought it would give him a positive outlet away from alcohol and criminal activities that could help him straighten out in his life. That student said the caring attention he gave, that positive support, can pull you through really dark times in your life. And he was right, and I was wrong. I mean, people on social media were just like, scandal. Tim Walz revealed as small-town coach with big heart, whose tough love forever changed the life of a struggling young man. Another one wrote, this is extremely damning. I can't believe Tim Walz didn't instead counsel the young man to quit football and drunk drive into a quarry. I mean, I guess we should be glad they're so desperate, you know? Donald Trump is just getting more unhinged and violent, that, you know, the stories are, they know they're losing. I guess we should we be calmed by that, Frangela?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. You know, and I just want to go back to him calling him gay. Some of the strongest, best people in this world are gay. And the fact that it gets thrown out as if it is a negative.
Right.
It's the part that really chaps my hide.
I mean, let's tell the truth. It's the straights that aren't really doing a good job.
The straights that ain't bringing it.
That's the truth.
Sorry.
So, speaking of
yeah, it's your fault, Jody.
Speaking of the straights, the right is losing its collective, seriously, its mind over this Julia Roberts ad. Let's take a listen.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose, you can vote any way you want. And no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey. Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walz. Vote Common Good is responsible for the contents of this ad.
Yep.
We just got a moral lecture from Newt Gingrich in our first segment on moral values. And how, very terrible that would be to... He's the one who left his wife, who was dying of cancer, to have an affair with someone. That's not important. That's not my point.
And he was upset that this ad was suggesting that women lie to their husbands about their vote.
Charlie Kirk fumed. It's so gross. It's so nauseating, where this wife who comes in with her sweet husband, who probably works his tail off to make sure she can go out and, have a nice life. Oh, like no women have jobs that also contribute to a nice life? Provides for the family, and then she lies to him saying, oh yeah, I'm going to vote for Trump, and then she votes for Kamala Harris as her little secret in the voting booth. Kamala Harris and her team believe that there will be millions of women that undermine their husbands and do so in a way that is not detectable with the polling. Liz Cheney went, listen to this twit make Donald Trump's closing argument. Women, you know what to do. Vote Kamala. I mean, they're just... Okay, go ahead.
It doesn't say nice husband. If you can't be honest about your vote with the person you are in a relationship with, then you're concerned for your safety. Like, you can't have a disagreement on this in your house. That's a problem. I'm not, when I look at that man, I'm like, oh, that hardworking, loving husband. No.
How is that automatically a sweet husband that you have to be terrified of?
Right.
To tell
that's what I'm saying.
And what husband goes, did you make the right choice?
Exactly. That doesn't sound like we having a discussion. That sounds like you done lost your mind.
Donald Trump's, I'm going to protect women whether they like it or not. More creepy or more rapey? Or just weird? Creepy, rapey, weird? Which one?
It's stalkery, creepy, rapey. It's a cornucopia of wrongs. It's creepy. And disrespect and violence against women.
That's right.
It's a melange.
Yes, thank you. It's a man that has just been responsible for taking bodily autonomy away from millions of women. I mean, I guess, okay. Frangela, do you think this election is close? Because I know we all go, how could this even be close? But I I
think
more
polling
and more
is
people
close.
are saying, I don't know that it is. You know,
I don't
think
believe
it
it's
is.
close. I think
don't
between
either.
women, the allyship between women, between the youth vote, and I do believe that the youth are going to come out and vote this year.
Yeah.
I really do believe that.
Yeah.
And all he's doing every day is making that choice a lot easier for everybody. But I look at this and I don't think it's close either. And I think we're going to take back the House and the Senate. I
Me
think
too.
that is why. That's why I say polling is a problem because people lie in polls.
Yeah. Well, and also, there was yet another story today about what a lot of people have been talking about is just these deliberate right-wing polls that are flooding the zone, and a lot of the
that's right.
The aggregators they just throw them in with all the rest of them, So
Yeah, all the junk polls, absolutely, straw polls. It's just I believe, and also these polls do not reach a certain aggregate of the population.
Yeah.
Which is women, which is youth, young people on cell phones. Who has a landline anymore?
Yeah, I do. Oh, Jody does.
I don't.
Just old.
I don't.
Just old white ladies.
It's for your job.
Angela, you frequently say I say things that sound like I'm sitting on my front porch shucking beans, but that's the only thing I can hear my landline when I'm on the front porch shucking beans.
Just airing out my feet.
It's an old white lady thing. Okay.
On the porch.
Just airing out my feet? Is that, oh my God, that's
just
amazing.
rocking. I'm just rocking and rocking and
Airing
shucking.
out my
Rocking
feet.
and shucking. Yeah.
Shucking
Okay.
some peas. Some green beans.
Okay. All right. For instance, there are a lot of previous Haley voters, right, that are going to vote for Kamala.
To see this guy over here clutching his pearls so hard over this, considering the fact that he's completely cool with inciting a riot that led to the injuries of 174 police officers, God knows how many other civilians, and even led to several deaths. The big difference between Josh Hawley and I is when I was at this event and I saw Ryan get hurt, I immediately went over to him. I stopped what I was doing. I took out the medical kit. I put a bandage on him. He was able to keep reporting.
Oh, that's not what I was calling for.
That's what you...
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh.
Okay, that was our friend Lucas Coons.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Yes, I set up one. That's what I was calling an audible. Okay, so that was our friend Lucas Coons who's running against, but again, Josh Hawley is one of these posers that just wrote a book on manhood and is the one that was running away on January 6th. And I love that Lucas said he looked like Cowboy Ken from the Barbie movie at the Missouri State Fair. But so a guy got hit by shrapnel at a shooting range event, and Josh Hawley just was trying to be a wise ass, like, oh, I hope Lucas Coons doesn't shoot any more reporters, but he was just talking about what he actually did. He actually went and helped the guy. He's
Right.
a veteran. He's a Marine. One more. Yeah, one more.
Josh Hawley, when literally hundreds of people were being hurt at his place of work, did the exact opposite
Thank
thing,
you.
right? As a Marine, we go towards danger. We help people out when they're hurt. Josh Hawley, as the selfish swamp creature that he is and has always been, he ran away as quick as he could back to his $2 million Virginia estate and hid his head and hasn't said a single thing first. The man is literally all about himself. The people in this election have a real choice. A U.S. Marine who spent his entire life trying to pay back the people in my old neighborhood who took care of me, or a selfish guy over here who makes $500,000 in book sales, tripling his Senate salary, and brings nothing home to Missouri because he only cares about himself.
Please, God, Missouri, and please, Texas, let us be rid of these insurrectionist douchebags, Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley, right?
The
And they
Ted
are
Cruz,
Oh, my goodness.
that would be so healing, I think. That would heal a significant part of my heart.
And he's, I
If-
think, Colin Oliver is, 1 point behind we just saw? I mean, it's a dead heat pretty much, so I think all things are possible this year. Let me back up, do a parallel park in the cul-de-sac, and come back and pick this up.
Okay.
Nikki Haley voters.
Yes.
Attorney Joan London switched her registration to independent after voting for Haley in the Republican primary. London was asked to join this local political program not long after our first visit 5 months ago. Back then, she told us she would write in a conservative because she viewed President Biden as too old. Later, she said she viewed Vice President Harris as too liberal and untested. But then she watched the Harris-Trump debate.
The last straw was what he said about the Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then one more.
Where he said that we have to have a negotiated settlement. For someone who claims to be a conservative to say that was, in my opinion, outrageous. It's appeasement.
So London is now voting Harris, voting Democrat for president for the first time, because she believes Trump must lose, because she gets the battleground state math.
I needed to vote against allowing him to become president again. I don't want it on my conscience that I contributed in some way to that. Sometimes you have to say, American first, conservative second, Republican third.
And that's bared out in the polling, Frangela. I think she's up 18 points for the Republicans. I mean, that's part of, to your point about what's happening with the polling. She's way above where Hillary or Biden were with Republicans.
And if in a poll, if people are saying that, then I know that they're, for every person who's willing to say that in a poll, how many thousands behind them who aren't
Joe
willing
Walsh
to say
said that,
it, but
Joe,
are doing it.
Joe Walsh said everywhere he goes, people say, I'm voting for Kamala, but I can't say because of my family, my church, my this, my that,
Yeah. No, because these people are violent. It's not even that it's a pain in the neck or you don't want to talk about. They're violent.
And Republican strategist was talking about not having Nikki Haley out there for him, as he hasn't even spoken to her. She said, I think with Trump, personal grudges always lean in heavy with what he wants to do and how he operates. Clearly, that's part of this now, and it doesn't make good political sense, but good.
You know what? Good, because she needs to be gone. That's soulless. Yeah. She is supporting him.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot with her. There is nothing about her that is at all legitimate. She's got no soul. She's got no sense of principles, nothing. Like, I will admit, she makes the best biscuit naan combination I've ever... Francis, it was really good.
It was delicious. It was delicious.
That fusion... She's doing that biscuit fusion cuisine.
It's delicious.
Naan is delicious. Okay, 46 minutes after the hour, this portion.
Ever been to see...
And eventually you have the racist KKK fighting the fascist Antifa in the streets of Charlottesville. Both sides.
Boy, I'll tell you, the media sure gets one thing right. The extreme right wing and the extreme left wing in this country have both totally gone off the rails.
America is being destroyed by people on both sides thinking that the other side is destroying the world.
So many insane ideas on the left and the right, and I'm sorry, but real Americans have had it. We only hear about what the far right wants and the far left wants, but what about the majority, huh?
My take is that we should condemn violence and extremism on both sides.
On the right, you have these extremists who want to overthrow democracy and have a violent revolution. They want to deregulate the polluters poisoning our air and water. They want to privatize Social Security. And on the left, these extremist nutjobs think every American should have health care. It's insane, and it's both sides, people.
I blame both sides.
I mean, these nutjobs on the right are white supremacist Confederates who reject the 2020 election, they reject science, and they want armed civil war. And these extremist nutjobs on the left think women should have control over what happens to their own bodies. I mean, hello, is this the America we know? What? This is what Andrew Yang warned us about, guys.
Quit drinking that Kool-Aid, because we're hearing it from both sides, the extreme right and the extreme left, and they have the microphone.
Because real America sees these right-wing fascists trying to scale back voting rights, trying to scale back LGBT rights, trying to sunset Social Security and Medicare. And then you got these psychopaths on the left who actually believe that Medicare should cover vision, hearing, and dental. When did both sides lose their minds, people?
America is being moved into chaos by people on both sides.
It's like the media says, what happened to the center? Actually, the media moved the center over here to the right, but what happened to it now that it's over here? Both sides don't want to put women in jail for abortion. Both sides don't play dumb about police brutality. Both sides don't want to do nothing about student loan debt. Both sides don't want to play dumb about the climate crisis. Both sides don't want to save white supremacist Confederate symbols. Both sides don't want to decriminalize weed. Both sides don't pretend that Donald Trump's spreading a racist smear for years that the first black president wasn't really born here and isn't really one of us, isn't racist. Both sides don't want to make it easier for 21-year-old males to get their hands on weapons designed to kill lots of humans really fast.
But having said that, I understand what he meant by both sides.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more. Give us a like, give us a good review, and subscribe to the John Fugelsang podcast, too.
McConnell is the reason he has two of those seats, because he stole Merrick Garland's seat, and then he did the exact same thing when he said they couldn't have Merrick Garland, putting in Amy Coney Barrett. So those two seats would not have been Trump's. Those two picks would not have been Trump's. They would have been Obama's and Joe's. But they're not. They're Trump's. And that was all McConnell. And then for McConnell to stand there and say this belongs in the courts, and then the courts weigh in, and their decision is that, yes, he's above the law. He's basically a king. We're going to be a country to go back to a monarchy. Like, what?
Yeah, I was so furious because the rationalization, John Roberts' rationalization was a president needs to act boldly and unhesitatingly. The idea being that a president cannot be encumbered by having to think for even a moment, or consider what's legal for even a moment. And it's the dumbest thing. It's like that's the difference. A king does not have to worry about what the law is. Right. A president does. That is literally the difference, you boneheaded douchebag.
Sexy Liberal Weekend, LA, the big final extravaganza, pre-election extravaganza with Adam Schiff and Glenn Kirshner and Mark Hamill. And President Bartlett is a maybe. Martin Sheen is out saving the world, and specifically Pennsylvania right now. So, and we have another surprise. Oh, wait, hang on. I might be getting my surprise text right now. No, not yet. Not yet. Okay. All right. We're working on other surprises. Pardon me. So, Frangela, let's talk about the Bad Bunny and Nicky Jam factor.
Yeah.
Can I just say I get chills all these different moments. J-Lo gave me chills when she introduced Kamala yesterday as the next president of the United States.
Name me a Bad Bunny song.
You know what? I will look into that. However, Nicky Jam has retracted his endorsement of Donald Trump.
Okay,
good for him.
Good.
At this point, Frangela, I don't know what it takes for late deciders. Apparently, are moving toward Kamala. It's 60% is the latest number I'm told. But I'm like you, Francis. I have no idea at this point what polls to trust or not.
You can't trust them. What we can do is what I feel, and I know that what I'm seeing is the energy on the ground and what people are doing. And I am seeing in areas that I have never, the youth vote. Like I said, I have a cousin who has never voted in her life.
I heard you say that on Final Word, in her 60s, right? She's in her 60s?
In her 60s.
Wow.
She just registered to vote a month ago.
Have I mentioned I never missed the Final Word? Okay.
Thank you.
And neither should you, America.
That's right.
You know, one group we hadn't thought about, loud white guys. Here is Billy Eichner and Will Ferrell.
Hey guys, it's Billy. I am back on the street with the one and only Will Ferrell, and we are out here today to represent a very important voting demographic, loud white men for Kamala Harris. So you ready, Will? Ah! Sir, we're loud white men for Kamala. Join the call.
Join the call.
Hell yeah, I'm in. Yeah, who are you voting for?
Kamala Harris.
Yes, exactly. Have you voted yet?
Mail-in ballot.
Oh, mail-in ballot, bitch! Miss, for $1, would you have sex with a Trump voter?
No.
Thank you. Sir, we're loud white men for Kamala. Join the call.
Yes.
Yes.
I support Kamala.
Yes, that's not that loud, but louder?
Oh, louder.
Yes.
I support Kamala.
Louder!
I support Kamala.
Yeah! Miss.
Do you want to hear a Chris Lavoie gym highlight? One time Will Ferrell came up to the gym and said, good job on that collar this morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He was obviously watching TV because he recognized me. You know, he came up to me and I'm like, yeah, but you're Will Ferrell.
He should come to Sexy Liberal. That would be nice.
Yeah, tell
If you're
Will,
listening,
are you in
Will.
town, boo-boo?
Yeah, here's another stark choice. Melania, who is the Christmas lady,
Uh-huh.
and Buddy the Elf, Secretary of Christmas. Hold on.
Miss, did you hear if Kamala wins, she's going to make Buddy the Elf Secretary of Christmas?
That would be phenomenal.
Would you have sex with a Trump voter?
Ugh.
Oh, okay, thank you. Sir, loud white men for Kamala. Join the call. Go Kamala! Yeah! Yes! For $1, for $1, for $1. Who are you voting for? Yes, there you go! Yes! Okay. I have to go! Yeah! Tell everyone in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania to vote for Kamala!
East Stroudsburg, vote for Kamala!
Please! Sir, loud white men for Kamala, join the call!
Yeah!
Yeah! Who are you voting for?
Kamala.
Yeah! What's your name?
My name is Corey.
Corey! Corey for Kamala!
Can I just say we have all the funny on our side? And I have said it once, I've said it a million times, Frangela. I think the finest stand-up comedians in the country are Frangela, John Fugelsang, and Hal Sparks. You can see them all tomorrow night. It is the exact opposite of what you saw at Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
It is punching up at the fascists, not punching down. And we keep saying, Frangela, we're not this like politically correct and staid. You know, our show's outrageous and hilarious and all of that.
Body.
Yes, but
You don't
need to punch down. Right.
You don't need
No, we don't attack regular people. There's nothing racist about our show. There's nobody going to come in there and be offended that their group got attacked.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
We don't do that.
SexyLiberal.com. Get to come see us live or get the pay-per-view. See you tomorrow night, Frangela. We love you.
We love you.